welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Millie and welcome to another Multichrome Monday, and we're going to be doing some swatch comparisons. As you can tell, we are starting off with the top-down view, and today I'm going to be searching for the most unique multichromes in the 20 jeweled multichromes from the stained glass collection from Clionadh Cosmetics. So I will be only covering the really deep dark based jeweled multichromes in this video, and then I will definitely do some other comparisons with Terra Moon, some of the iridescent shades, etc. But right now we're focusing on those. And if you're new to my channel, I am an avid multichrome lover. I have so many different multichromes from many different brands, some liquid as well, some jelly as well. So we're going to be comparing a lot. Now, I did do a dupe video previously. It's been at least like 6 months since I did that, which I will leave down in the description box if you are interested in watching that one as well for more reference. But today's video is going to be almost an updated version of that, because I will be trying to find specific dupes to some specific shades from Clionadh, while the other video was really just looking for dupes across all the brands. Clionadh does offer the most deep multichromes compared to any other brand. Obviously, I don't have all possible deep multichromes out there, nor do have I tried every brand. But also specifically talking about pressed multichromes, I will be also comparing some liquid, some jelly, and some loose. But for the most part, they have the biggest collection of jeweled multichromes that are pressed. And so the way I'm going to do it, I'm not going to live swatch all of these because that would just, we would be here forever. There's 20 shades to compare. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just show you the swatches already. We're going to look at them with this camera, and then I'm also going to take a video with my phone camera, so because that's where you can really see the shifts the best. And I will also be labeling each of these in the swatches so that you can take a screenshot and use it as a reference, or for whatever other reason it's just best to see which one exactly is which. So let's start off with these. This is basically a super deep purple, and it shifts to almost like a pink to a bronze to a lime green. So here they all are, and you can see it's a little hard to capture, but I'm shining a flashlight here so you can see the way that they shift. And these are all, I would say, very, very similar, almost complete dupes. And one of them is a loose pigment. This is from Dawn Eyes. I've had this for a while, and you can really tell it's not very metallic, but I thought I would put it in here just in case somebody does have a bunch of these Dawn Eyes pigments. I didn't go through all of mine because I am almost out on with some of them, and they are a little bit harder to swatch. They definitely need a tacky base. Next up is this set, and this is basically a deep forest green that goes to a deep purple. So here are the contenders. So this is in comparison to Clionadh Anil. So this was definitely not the easiest to dupe, but definitely dupeable, especially Lullaby from Carla Cosmetics, Polaris from Divina, and then this is actually only $9 eyeshadow. This is Radioactive Radon from Madura Labs. Next up is this basically a reddish shade that goes to a like lime green gold. And so this one also definitely dupeable, but not the easiest. So here is Sand Blast. And this is a Dawn Eyes Heavenly, which I did press. It was in loose form, so that one is pressed. That one, I would say the red is like a little bit more just vibrant in a way. Definitely not as metallic and pigmented. And then here is Lover from Danessa Myricks, and obviously that's still drying, but that one's just very, very, it's almost like a brown. I don't really like the shade. It looks pretty dull on the lid. And then Dogbane, which is from Natasha Denona. Again, pretty close. I would say a little bit different in application, maybe a little bit less dark than Sandblast. Next up is Lunette, which is a really beautiful darker blue that goes to a really deep purple. And I would say this one is also a little bit on the harder to dupe side. So here they all are in order, and you can tell that obviously Clionadh is very, very metallic, very pigmented, but that's also because I did press these two shades, and Dawn Eyes definitely didn't press as well as Tammy Tanuka. But here you have these. This is a stunning shade. I do feel like this shade is maybe a little bit more duochromatic versus like a multi-chrome. As you can see, really is just predominantly a green to purple, but there's like a little bit of an in-between there when it does shift to the purple. So here's a Trefoil and some dupes. I would say these two are not quite there. The tone of green is just a little bit different, but I thought I would swatch them out all for you. So these obviously, this one is, so obviously Trefoil is a little bit easier maybe to dupe now. So here they are, and like I mentioned, I feel like it's more of like a grassy green versus like, I don't know how to describe it. I just feel like these are a bit different from Trefoil. This one's definitely very, very, very different. This one is a super, super deep. And then these two, I guess, would be the closest, but I do feel like the Cindy Grace shade is just a wee bit like duller, like it's a little bit almost like a grayish green or something. Next up is Kiln, and this one I would say is pretty easy to dupe. These two shades I do want to mention I'm putting in here, but I would say they're a little bit different from Kiln, and my desk is so dirty already. So let's swatch these together, but I would say this one was pretty easy to dupe with some other indie brands. So here is Kiln and the comparisons. I would say these are all pretty similar. This one, which is Chime from Shine by SD, super flaky. It's almost impossible to swatch it without some kind of a primer. And I actually would say that Phoebus from Davina is pretty close, which is nice because it is a bit more affordable. And like, again, I think if you had really any of these, it would be a pretty decent close dupe to the Clionadh shade. So next up is Aspire. I would say this one is pretty easy to dupe. We have Davina, BabyBatBeauty, Sigil Inspired or Tammy Tanuka, Chaos Cosmetics, and Dawn Eyes. So obviously Dawn Eyes, again, not very metallic compared to the rest. I would say Chaos Cosmetics is very much deeper, and I think the shift is harder to see in that one. But it's very, very deep, deep purpley blue. And then Tammy Tanuka, pretty shiny and pretty close. Again, these two, same thing. I would say that this Davina shade is a bit more blue almost. Next up we have Forge. I would say pretty easy to dupe. I would say we have quite a bit of similar comparisons, especially from these other indie brands. We have Ephemera from BabyBatBeauty, Mirage from Terra Moons, which Terra Moons actually has 5 more shades of multichromes and I only have 4. So I'm sure that among the other 5, there will be some other dupes within some of the shades that I've already shown or the ones I'm about to show. I would say these are very, very shifty. I don't need much effort here to show off. Definitely would say that Infra Nude is quite a bit of a different, it's just, it doesn't have a black base, so that one's definitely not the closest. Alluring, it's pretty similar, but it's a little bit softer. And then these all are, I would say, pretty close, but nothing quite close enough to the shine, as of course you can tell. But here's Oculus, and I would say this one very easy to dupe. This one is very similar also to Crown Glass and Rosette. I feel like those are a little bit close together, but especially this one and Crown Glass, very similar to each other. So here are the swatch comparisons. You can tell definitely a lot of similar shades here. I do think that these two are maybe a little bit more green. I don't know. They're all very, very similar though, for sure. So, I mean, it really depends on how much you care and how exact it is. I think if it's similar enough, it's good enough. Next is Crown Glass, and I'm actually going to swatch it on the same arm because they are so similar. But this one, the only like very close dupe is Alter Ego from Touch of Glam. So those are the last two down here. You can tell that they're pretty similar to Oculus. However, it's definitely like a different tone of purple and more of like a blue than a teal. Next up is Rosette, and this one is pretty easily duped. This is from Davina, then we have from Terra Moons, and then this is another Davina shade. This one, it's not really quite similar enough, but I thought I would just include it. This is from their Butterfly collection, and these are pretty dull in terms of just multichromes. These are again blue purple shifting. Just adding some light here. And I would say these are all pretty close. Next up is Castle, and this one, the only dupe that I found is Borealis from Davina. So this one definitely on the harder side, but Davina is a pretty common indie brand to buy from. So I did swatch these on the same arm just because I still had some room. So these are exactly the same, as you can see. Next up is definitely the easiest multichrome to dupe, and that is Smolder. We have quite a bit of a lineup from many different indie brands here. So here are the swatches, and of course, Clionadh is the first one in line on my wrist. These are very, very beautiful shifty. This is one of my absolute favorite multichrome shades. And these all shift to a lime green. Very, very beautiful. Lots of very close dupes, some a little bit less close. I would say these two, which one of them is from Cindy Grace and the other one is from Shine by SD. These two I would say are the least close to that shade, possibly even Magical. It just didn't swatch well from Dawn Ice. Phthalo I would say is just a bit more purple, and then all of these are pretty close. Next up, I'm just going to group these together and swatch them on one arm. So we have Flame Blown and Gargoyle, and these ones are very, very hard to dupe, especially Gargoyle, because I mean, this is from Dawn Eyes. It's not even a pressed multichrome from like another indie brand, so very, very hard to dupe. And then this one, we have JD Glow a lot, so a little bit harder, but in general, definitely not as many of these multichromes out there. And so here are the swatches. Okay, wow, so after seeing it on the phone camera, I would say that a lot is definitely not exactly the same. They do have like a similar like kind of color, but the shift is a bit different in certain lighting. Editing Millie here, this video is pretty pre-filmed and I have since then gotten the 3 newer shades from Davina. So I'll be inserting some swatch comparisons with my phone. And so I found that one of the newest shades from Davina, Hemisphere, is an exact dupe to Gargoyle from Clionadh. They have that same exact bright green to more of a grayish silvery green, and then a purple at a very harsh angle. So now we're down to the wire. So we have Weld, which I thought was going to be one of the shades that would not have a dupe at all, but actually Neverland from Karla Cosmetics is very, very similar. Not exact, but very similar. And then also there's Patina, which is a lot harder to dupe than I thought. We have Scarab from Natasha Denona, Twin Flames from Danessa Myricks, and Entrancing from Dawn Eyes. So here are just all the swatches. So we have Weld and then Neverland, so you can see they're pretty similar. And then Patina and Scarab, definitely pretty similar, but Scarab definitely has less of a black base. It's a little bit more sheer. And the Sweetheart is just very, very dark, not really as metallic. And then Entrancing is actually not really as similar as I thought it was going to be. So Patina and Chromosphere are a little bit similar. They do have that very strong green to blue shift in common, but when you look at them a little further away from the light source, they have different tones. It's more of a pinky salmon tone, while Patina is more of a bronze gold. So that brings us to these 3 shades from Clionadh. So Editing Millie here once again. At the time of filming this video, I didn't have some of the new shades from Davina, so I thought that Weathered, Burnish, and Vermeil were undupable, and that's what I was saying in the original audio, but I wanted to come in here and just correct myself. So you will see some comparisons against some of the new Davina shades. Phenomenon is an exact dupe to Weathered. So here's Chromosphere against Burnish and Vermeil, and they're not very similar in certain lighting at all. Chromosphere is much more green, but they do have some of that almost like antique gold tone in it, depending on the light. So you'll see it's got a little bit of a similar tone, but Chromosphere is otherwise very, very different. I do think, however, these 3 are probably the least like obvious shifting shades. So I actually wonder why these are the least dupeable, because the shift is not as strong in them. It's a bit hard to see for sure. So I really hope that you found this video helpful in helping you decide just what multichromes to buy. I have a lot of other multichrome content from Multichrome Monday up on my channel. I will put the playlist down in the description box if you're interested. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, I would love it if you subscribed. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.